Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me your friend Ice Poder and you are watching Ice Poder vlog, and today as usual I am going to make a reaction video, and I am here after so many long time. So you guys have been missing me. I have missed a lot my fans. I have missed my a lot. I have missed a lot Ice Poder family. So guys, sorry for not being active for a long time. So I really want to upload guys for the inconvenience, but I hope I will give my 100% to my channel. So please keep on loving me. So today I am going to make a reaction video about the country Sri Lanka. I am going to make a reaction video about Sri Lanka, and the title of the topic is Truth about Sri Lankan Army, and it is a 20-minute long video. And so the reaction video will be so long, but I will skip some non-important parts, but I will give my reaction throughout the entire video. So don't skip my video. Here we go guys. Introduction.
On May 19, 2009, a
2009,
moment the whole country
Tiger.
had been waiting for arrived. The war had ceased, and peace had begun to envelop the country. But the run-up to this moment had been a long and laborious one. Over 3 decades, to be precise. And how did the combined forces of Sri Lanka succeed in vanquishing the once invincible LTTE, safeguarding the sovereignty and territorial integrity and the protection of its citizens is a paramount duty of the state. In
Yes,
the Sri Lankan
this is the
context,
paramount duty of
those
the
very
country,
concepts
because
of
to protect
sovereignty
their
and
citizens, to
territorial
give their
integrity
right,
are
to
constantly
give them
threatened
right is
and
the
undermined
paramount
by the LTTE,
duty of
a
the
terrorist,
respecting nation.
non-state actor. In this
LTTE.
regard, bombs targeting civilians, conscriptions, and recruitment of child soldiers, capture of the territory of the Sri Lankan state by force were carried out. The duty then, by default, fell on the democratically elected Sri Lankan governments. The Sri Lankan government
Yeah, the some chaotic want to chaos and war in Sri Lanka, and the democratic government of Sri Lanka had to fight against the terrorism or something there. So this video is all about the winning of Sri Lankan.
had to initiate a humanitarian operation as a means to a peaceful end. Through the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, the armed forces fought back with discipline, countering the atrocities of the LTTE and violation of human rights. But countless lives were lost, and the war dragged on. However, attempts by successive governments to solve this issue through negotiations failed. The LTTE challenged and attempted to undermine the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Sri Lankan state.
The withdrawal of President Mahinda
In the midst of this
Rajapaksa.
quagmire, hope raised its voice when on the 19th of November 2005, President Mahinda Rajapaksa came to power with a majority vote base. He took home the reins keen.
Yeah, Mahinda Rajapaksa is the democratic president of Sri Lanka. He got the majority of vote and came into the power. So I don't know why Mahinda Rajapaksa has done so many things for Sri Lanka, but the people of Sri Lanka hate Mahinda Rajapaksa. Why? Please let me know through the comment section. I really want to know about why there is so many criticism and so many people hate Mahinda Rajapaksa.
On reconciliation and rebuilding ethnic unity and religious harmony.
Yeah, the
His
religious
call to
harmony
peace
must be
was
kept.
ignored, and the LTTE continued their rampage on civilian targets,
Rampage
including
and
the
civilian
Muslim
war.
population.
Who is this LTT? LTT are the terrorists for the Sri Lankan, or the terrorists from outside country want to overtake the Sri Lanka?
94 child soldiers during the conflict and activated countless
Child
female
labor, like a
suicide
kind of
bombers.
child labor.
Captured footage
I don't
revealed
want these types
a
of people
semi-conventional
to be engaged in
organized
the war.
army
but country have to save their country, so they must they are keeping the child farmer in the war.
And weapon training. It was with such a radical organization that the Sri Lankan army was waging a long, drawn battle. On 15th June 2006, the LTTE attacked a bus, killing at least 64 civilians.
Why LTTE? What do you want from them? You are badass LTTE.
Action had to be taken to
Yes,
avoid
yes,
a man-made
Jackson, how do you
catastrophe.
again?
But this time,
Catastrophe.
the strategy was different.
Wow. The
military
strategy must be
began
different,
with
and they have to
tactics
they have to set many plans for to overtake the terrorism in the country.
task
And
was
there must be
chiefly
plan A,
in the
plan B,
hands of
plan
the
C.
Sri
If
Lankan army,
plan A does not
assisted
succeed,
by
then
the
they
Air
have to
Force,
work on the plan B.
Civil
If the
Defense
plan B is
Force,
not succeed, they
and
have to work on plan C. So
Mention
that
must
is
be
the
made
strategy
of
of Mahinda Rajapaksa, the president of Sri Lankan
A
government.
retired lieutenant colonel, who as defense secretary subscribed to the appointment of high-performance youngsters with previous battlefield experience as commanders, encouraged weapons systems procurement, recruitment, and training. Most importantly, preparations were made for a prolonged engagement with consistent maintenance of momentum.
Yeah, momentum must be
Five more
maintained.
divisions were created. Recruitment shot up from 3,000 per year to 34,000 in a
Oh, and
single
this is
year.
a massive air,
The
massive.
strength of the
massive.
army rose
31,000
to 170
increment of 31,000 of people in the race of government.
battalions
That's
were
big.
created.
They have a huge.
The military leadership adopted an infantry training doctrine that emphasized sectional level small unit infantry operations, and the Special Infantry Operations Team SIOT model of 8 to 6 men was enforced. Multiple thrust fronts were maintained and increased from 3 to 8 at times. Commando and Special Forces units were extensively used
Do
behind
the Sri Lankan
LTTE
government as a
lines.
para commander now?
And these operations led to the interception
lines,
and
yeah.
elimination of numerous LTTE field commanders.
Yeah, they have to eliminate the numerous LTD field commander. They have to kill them. They have to
2006 and
kill their
2009.
from the neck.
The army lost 191 officers and 5,082 other ranks in action. In addition, 905 officers and 27,230 other ranks were
Oh
seriously
my
wounded.
God, wounded.
Over 1,000
27 and 300 were wounded. It's a massive, huge loss for our Sri Lankan government.
And operational exigencies. Despite the obstacles, the military adopted stringent security measures to contain and intercept LTTE cells, aided by increasingly successful intelligence gathering operations, while the LTTE adopted a defensive military strategy in order to maintain the captured territory.
Who are the LTD? Why they captured the some parts of Sri Lanka and they are known as they are in the boundary of LTD territory. Who are they? Please let me know in the comment section who are LTT. I want to search
to divide and destroy.
LTT in Sri Lanka. Who are LTT? LTT Sri Lanka founded by 1997 by Bhulia Parva. Yeah, I have seen this man photo here. The beginning of the video is LTT was involved in army check classed against the Sri Lankan government and I am operating against Sri Lankan Tamils continued by Sinhalese moms and notable during the 1970 anti-Tamil program and the 1980. Oh, he is the founder of the Billu Pilla Parvakaran. Parvakaran, he has got a nice name, but he is a so. Yeah, he was killed. Yes, right? Oh, he is LTT.
LTTE forces.
He was the father.
On the 24th of March 2004, a breakaway Tamil rebel group led by the LTTE Eastern Tamil commander V.
Eastern Tamil
Muralidharan
commander. I just
or
searched
Colonel
him.
Karuna broke away from the main LTTE force, defecting to the government
Force.
side.
LTTE
With his
force.
defection, key intelligence flowed into the hands of the armed forces.
back to the
With the
action.
closure of the Mavilaru sluice gate by the LTTE, thousands of civilian farmers were deprived of their right to water. A humanitarian operation was initiated by the government.
This LTT are a bad person. Why they don't provide water to the farmer? Because farmer are the key sources for the food in the nation. So if any types of war happening in the country, please don't harm farmer, don't harm school, don't harm child. Only if you have some agenda, put them in front of the government. If there is some terrorism, some source of people who don't like the government, please put your agenda to the government, but don't harm the people. This LTT harm the civilian. They killed almost 9,000 of civilian people in 2005, and they are not providing water to the farmer. To get water is the rights, fundamental rights of farmer.
To liberate the Mavilaru sluice gate to facilitate water to civilians. In the events that followed, areas such as Sampur, Muthur and Topikala,
Mathur.
the strongholds of LTTE terrorists, were recaptured. And the LTTE
Yeah, recapture.
were
Good luck, Sri Lanka.
anything more than low-intensity operations in the east.
The strategy, Sri
From the
Lankan
Sri
Navy are
Lankan
also
Navy's
deprived to the war.
perspective, its role was to achieve sea control and enforce sea denial. The ceasefire had been misused by the LTTE to acquire military equipment, arms and ammunition. The Sri Lankan Navy countered this threat with a small boat concept. These naval boats had superior speed, high maneuverability and
Wow.
lethal firepower, similar to the weapon outfit of the Dora fast attack craft. These boat squadrons effectively countered the LTTE's suicide craft threat. Over 150 such boats were indigenously built. Warehouse ground battle. These floating warehouses were located and destroyed. With the escalation of the war, the Sri Lankan Air Force transformed itself into a truly modern and high-tech fighting force.
Wow, fighting force,
Successfully
they are
confronting the
truly
world's first
modern,
terrorist
high-tech,
air
high-tech
wing.
Air
Its
Force.
strategy shifted
Wow.
from being a reactive one to a proactive approach
Oh.
to its preparedness. Its strength was increased from 1,000 men in 1951 to 27,000 men and
1921 to
1,300
27,000.
officers,
Wow.
with the addition of fighter jet aircraft squadrons,
Wow,
helicopter squadrons, and
just the
transport
addition of the
aircraft
fighter
squadrons,
quarter
both
match
fixed
the
wing and
19,500
water-fighters.
officer to
The
21,000
latest
or
technology,
27,000.
such as unmanned aerial vehicle systems, was introduced so that the real-time information on operations
Oh,
could be
yeah,
seen.
yeah, operation, yeah.
Live pictures of targets were taken,
Yeah,
and
live
the
picture.
attack aircraft were fitted with reliable self-protecting systems, allowing the pilots the liberty of attacking their targets at a careful pace.
The little day get desperate moves.
As the war between the legitimate Sri Lanka armed forces and the LTTE terrorists escalated, the latter resorted to inhumane violence, targeting civilians and their property. Explosions in trains, buses, and public places became rampant. The battle reached a point where the LTTE began to spew its arsenal in a show of desperation. The LTTE deployed the Air Tigers, and in brazen acts of defiance, its planes targeted the civilian and economic targets, such as Kalanithisa Power Station, Kolonava Oil Refinery, Katunaika Airport, and
So
the
many
Indian
destroyed.
Revenue
They have
Building.
destroyed so many things.
Suicide bombers went
But
on a
still the Sri
rampage,
Lanka is
even in the
boosting
guise of
their
pregnant women,
GDP
in a deadly
rapidly.
low-intensity campaign throughout Sri Lanka, targeting internationally protected persons such as diplomats, key politicians, government officials.
Reason for the little day, LTT
Slowly
dismissed.
but surely,
How
the
the LTT
LTTE's
dismissed by
weapon
the
depots, training camps, top secret bunkers began to be captured
Yeah.
and revealed.
the
to
bunker must be
media.
captured because the all types of armed force are kept there. The human angle.
But the struggle was not
The
just
human
between two
angel.
armies, but rather people caught in the mire of a war reaching its desperate moments. Their economy was in shambles.
Yeah.
Even essential items were a rarity. The landscape of their surrounding was desolate, and generation after generation was being born into a life of gunfire and strife.
Power of the police of the LTE.
While the
LTT.
advance of the Sri Lankan army was steady and relentless, the LTTE resorted to ingenious defenses. They cleared vast jungle stretches to create fields of fire, constructing 3-meter-high ditch-combined fortifications where the whole frontage was laced with booby traps, anti-personnel and anti-tank mines. The largest of the LTTE's ditch-combined constructions were a 22-kilometer stretch from Nachikura to
22
Akkara
kilometer
in
trains they have
and a 12-kilometer
created for
long
the
ditch-combined ring defending Kilinochi.
coordinating of
In
strategic
January 2008, the Wani operation entered a decisive stage. The LTTE was forced to simultaneously defend 4 strategically vital approaches, with each division having a broader strategic objective. The 57th Division's main goal was the capture of Kilinochi, the de facto LTTE capital. The 58th Division focused on sealing the northwest coastline and opening a direct road link to the Jaffna Peninsula. Attempts, meanwhile, were made by the LTTE to enter the Mullatif jungles. Anticipating such a move, 1 infantry division and 4 special forces squadrons were deployed behind task forces 2, 3, and 4 as strategic reserves to counter LTTE penetrations. And the 59th Division set its objectives on sealing the northeastern coastline from Valioer and to capture Pudukkudiyiruppu, the LTTE command and logistical headquarters. Finally, the 53rd and 55th Divisions, which had previously garrisoned the Jaffna Peninsula, forced the LTTE to commit forces to prevent a breakthrough on its northern frontage. In a desperate bid, the LTTE now pressed into service tens of thousands of civilians, children, and adults, as it witnessed increasing numbers of LTTE field commanders and veteran guerrillas killed in action.
The war's last hostage.
The final confrontation became the opportunity for one of the world's largest hostage crisis and humanitarian effort. As the LTT's hold began to shrink, they resorted to detain over 290,000 civilians as human shields. Throughout the confrontation, the army was clear in its strategy to minimize the loss of human life, secure the release of the hostages, and capture the LTTE's top-rung leadership. The armed forces responded to the desperate civilians, providing escapees with their own food rations, assisting mothers in labor, providing first aid to injured civilians, and securing those who were abandoned in the fight for freedom. The IDPs, as they came to be known, were the worst victims of the war. Used as human shields by the LTTE, they were a major concern to the forces. Considering the high civilian population mingling with the LTTE, the army limited its firepower and avoided the use of heavy weaponry to prevent civilian casualties.
They first have to
On
prevent the civilian
instructions of
casualties
President Mahinda
before attacking
Rajapaksa,
them.
the military initiated action to accelerate the release of the IDPs caught up in the confrontation, minimizing human loss. Medicines, food, and essential items made their way to the civilians, who opted for help from the government forces. A bid to escape, and as their escort guards engaged the army, a firefight ensued that brought the 3-decade-old war to a close.
Yeah, from 2005 to 2009, it's almost 4 years.
On the morning of
Maharaj
May
Rajapaksa.
19th, 2009,
Man,
the
I-
Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Rajapaksa, in a brief
Rajapaksa.
address to the nation announced the end of the war.
Wow,
A gripping
good.
saga in the history of the nation had finally come to an end. And the teardrop in the Indian
Like the LTT war in Sri Lanka, that was the terrorism war, but in Nepal, we have faced the 10 years of civil war. When the civil war began, I was just born. But they have planned for the war before or the 5 years of my birth, and the civil war runs for almost 10 years in Nepal, and the charity was massive. So that's why the economic of Nepal is very down, and now Nepal is rising up, and the 10 years of civilianhood, those commander, those leader who done the civilian war in Nepal came into the power, and they have changed nothing for the country. And the war was begun by the Maoist group, and they killed almost 17,000 of people in Nepal, and the Maoists came in power after or the civilian war. They have made agreement with the that government, and they have done a peace agreement so that they came into the power and run a country for almost 5 years, but they cannot do a great change in Nepal. They are came to change the Nepal, but they cannot change the Nepal. So I cannot make you understand, but this type of war was happened for 10 years in Nepal. It is known as the civil war in Nepal.
ocean could now shed tears of joy. The nation erupted with joyous celebration, not because of anyone's dawned. The responsibility on the government, civil defense force and police had effectively tackled the supposed coveted fighting force.
Concern for IDPs.
In the
who
midst of the euphoria, the IDPs were not forgotten. Aid was flown in from the south, and medical help and essential items were provided solely by the government. Addressing the issue of IDPs, rehabilitating the captured and the surrendered LTD cadres, providing shelter, education and livelihood for the
Wow.
IDPs were the impending challenges. The government, however, faced them with courage. 295,873 were internally displaced. In IDP centers, island 64 persons have returned to their former places of dwelling, 511, and many of them have been exposed to vocational training in English language,
Wow.
and they've been incorporated into civil society. As mine clearing is still underway with the support of the UN, houses have been constructed and schools have recommenced their academic programs. Since the conclusion of the war, not even a single violent incident had been reported from across the country.
Wow.
Ever since then, the entire country has been free of violence. And a
Wow.
peaceful
After that, the
environment
country is free of violence. I really love it.
now every single person can look
I
forward
got
to
goosebumps.
and live in lasting peace.
I got goosebumps. Do you want to see them? Here is a goosebumps. So that was the of the video, and this is all about or the war against the LTTE. But I don't know why LTTE make a terrorism war in Sri Lanka. What they want from the government of Sri Lanka? Please let me know through the comment section. I really want to know about the LTTE. Why LTTE? Yeah. Why LTD done the terrorism war in Sri Lanka? Please let me know through the comment section. I really want to know why LTD and I don't know why Mahinda Rajapaksa has done so many things for the Sri Lanka. do the people of Sri Lanka love Mahinda Rajapaksa? And the present president of Sri Lanka is Gotabaya Rajapaksa. And do the people of Sri Lanka still love the Mahinda Rajapaksa? Because he came into the power in Sri Lanka for several times. He came in power from 1997 to 2021. So he is a great man in Sri Lanka. Do the people of Sri Lanka love Mahinda Rajapaksa? Please let me know through the comment section. And the video is too long. I have given my reaction throughout the entire video. If you like my video, please share this video with your friend. And at the middle of the video, my video got stuck because due to the technical problem in my laptop. So please forgive me for that. And I really enjoyed the video. I got to know about the power of Sri Lankan army. So that's the end of the video. Namaskar.